Welcome into today's broadcast right here at Cog Hill Farm. Now, Peaches wouldn't let Nugget into the house for this episode, so here's Jason, Brooke, and our chicken master, Marycarl.
What is up, everybody? This is another episode of the Cogcast podcast, episode number 35. This is Jason and Brooke, a.k.a. Mrs. Cog Hill. The chicken master wanted to sit this one out tonight. She's super excited because she's going swimming with a friend tomorrow, and she's just...
Well, actually, they were FaceTiming each other.
Okay.
Mine's not very loud, but that's okay.
Is it in your
headphones? If you think it's okay, then I'm good. It's good. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. You know, maybe we should start doing these in the morning, and she would contribute.
Maybe so.
Another thing is, by the end of the day, she's tired, and she's
tired.
Just done.
She is. I'm tired, too. But I think if we do it in the morning times, we're doing so much in the mornings.
Yeah. Maybe we should just set a day aside and
I don't know.
Ask her if she wants to do
we'll
it in the morning.
We'll figure it out.
How about that?
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
So we got a few questions, and we've had another busy week.
Hey, before we get started, I got to tell you something.
What? You forgot something.
No, I didn't forget nothing.
Oh, I know what this is.
All right, so a couple of weeks ago, Cattywampus, they have a YouTube channel. I'll put a link down below. Y'all check it out. And they have a website. I'll put this down below. They sent us this awesome soap, and I bragged about it because it smelled like a man. It smelled like a lumberjack. Smelled like John Wayne or Chuck Norris would smell. And it didn't smell all, like Calvin Klein or...
I think you said Fruity Tooty, if I'm not mistaken.
Fruity Frou or something like that. So... I had sent him a message and I said, if y'all ever do beard oil, let me know. And it was like a week later, and they did beard oil.
And he wanted you to be the guinea pig.
He wanted me to be the guinea pig. This is called Rugged Woodsman. And that name doesn't just set it off, then nothing does, because it is a Rugged Woodsman. It smells so good. So... thank you guys so much for this. Then they sent me some soap called Old Timer, and
they sent me some too.
They did send you some.
So when I opened the box, it smelled like a mixture of manliness and womanness. So it was a good combination. And Jason, the next morning after he used his beard oil for the first time, or that evening, I can't remember when he did it, smell me. How do I smell? It's like, you smell good. Why? Because I use Cattywampus Acres new beard oil.
It is. It smells really, really good. It smells... I can smell the tobacco in it, I'm guessing. I don't know what else they got in it. But it's called Rugged Woodsman. I don't even know if they got this on their website yet. They may. I don't know. I think I may have gotten the first bottle. But I'll put a link to their website down below. It smells so good.
Well, they're good folks, too. They're in our neighboring state of Georgia.
That's right.
And y'all check them out. Support them if you're in the market for any soap or beard oil if they've got it on there yet. And maybe check out their YouTube channel, too.
That's right. And tell them that Cog Hill sent you.
That's right.
We have had a crazy week. We always got crazy weeks. I feel like I say that every week. So, I mean, that's becoming redundant, isn't it?
Well, I asked Jason earlier, I said, you want to do a podcast tonight? And he was like, sure. So while he was showering and getting cleaned, I decided to go through some questions because we hadn't done that in a while. And
we haven't done that in a while.
So Jason doesn't even know what the questions are.
I have no idea.
I printed them out, and I printed them out so big that I can read them without readers. And we'll get y'all caught up on what we did this past week, and then we'll go over a few questions.
That's true.
You know we're going to get sidetracked.
Do you want to do the questions first?
Whatever
or you
want to do.
Let's do the questions first. I think if we
there's a lot of them on here I can't answer.
We'll probably get sidetracked.
It's not that many.
Okay.
We'll get started. The first one's for you.
I got one that I want to say that I forgot that some person's been asking several times, and that is, how big is our goat pens?
Oh yeah, we get a lot of questions. How big is our goat pen?
Our goat pens are 60 by 40, and that's 2,400 square foot. So I've been getting that one. Somebody asked me again. They said I've asked it, and I would love for you to answer that. And that's what it is. Our goat pens are 60 foot by 40 foot.
Well, every time I read that question, I say I'm going to go look outside and I'm going to see how many boards we have.
I actually measured it. Well, I went by the
gotta
I got my built-in.
Sorry.
I got my built-in measuring tape, my foot, which is basically 12 inches.
Well, you know what I was going to look at?
What, the
Those
boards?
boards are 8 foot. So
That's
if we
true,
count
too.
the number of
That's
boards, but
Yeah.
I never did it. And I keep saying I was going to. So 60 by 40.
60 by 40 is what it is, and
Yeah, I mean, goats like to roam, but y'all, that is sufficient.
it is. It is. Like I think, like I've been said before, Wiedemann Reap over there in Arizona, they got, I don't know how many they got in their backyard, and they're super healthy, super clean, like ours.
I think the biggest thing is you need to routinely worm them and keep them on a program that's
Yeah, I agree.
that's right for your area. If
That's
you're
right.
deficient in copper, you need to add copper.
Right.
You know, we add minerals to keep the weather, which is tip,
Yes.
from getting the urinary calcifications.
Yes, and
and-
our goat feed also has is it ammonia sulfate? Is that what it is?
Ammonium sulfate.
Yeah.
And we, put the minerals on the top of it, and it's not going to hurt them. So
And we have the mineral buckets,
we do the mineral buckets,
and we worm regularly,
and we give hay,
and we give hay and their feed.
People get the, I guess, rap that goats are all about eating brush. And
They do eat brush. They're not grazers. They don't like grass. I mean, they will eat grass if they have access to it, but their favorite thing would be if you turn them loose in the woods and there was hooters of poison ivy, they'd be in hog heaven.
well, we do let ours out from time to time.
Yes.
And it's more so the girls than the boys, because the boys just want to hang out at the girl pen for the most part.
That's true.
And before we got Joe and Topper, I guess
Yeah,
you would
yep,
say.
yep.
And they were all together. We did let them out quite more frequently, and we'll be able to do that at the new place. But we would take them for walks in the woods, and their main thing is their special kind of leaf that they find on the ground.
Yeah.
They're not like sitting in one place just consuming. They're just having their grand
Just
old time by running and
browsing
jumping
around. Yeah.
and browsing. So we would like to have more area for our goats, but we're limited here.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have made the best with what we have. Our goats are not deprived of anything that they need.
That's right.
And therefore, we make it work.
Yep. I mean, when we move to the new place, they'll have a lot bigger area.
Yeah, but that just goes to show you that you make do with what you have.
Always make do with what you have. That's right. And our goats, like I said, our goats are super healthy.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we do, just keep them taken care of medically.
That's right. But I did want to say, because that was on my mind, and I knew I would forget if I didn't say it right now.
I don't even know what the question was.
It was, how big was our goat pen?
Oh, okay. How big was the goat pen? Okay. And then they do both have shelters, as y'all know.
Oh, yeah.
There's no need to tell dimensions on the shelter. You need a shelter that accommodates your needs. We have 3 boys, and our shelter's big enough for all 3 of them to get in. We have 4 girls, and the shelter's big enough for all 4 of those. So as long as you have enough room for them to, they don't stay in the shelter. They
Only
go in
when
there
it
at night,
rains.
and they go in there when it rains. So as long as you've got enough room for them to have somewhere
That's right.
to get out of the
Because
weather.
goats don't like water.
Yeah, and we're not in a cold area, so it's not
No,
that they're
we're not.
staying out of the snow or anything.
Yeah, we got a 3-sided shelter, which is very sufficient. You could
In
probably
our
get
area.
away with a no-sided shelter, just a roof in our area.
Well, at one point when we had goats a long time ago, we had the 3-sided, and then we had a lean-to on the side.
Yeah.
And it seemed like they stayed under that lean-to.
Yeah, I agree. Mm-hmm.
Because they just didn't need it.
They don't need it. Yeah.
But
I
we had
agree.
to add on because we kept adding more goats.
That's true.
Anyway, back to the question
Okay.
that I said was for you. How do you know when your garlic is ready? This person planted garlic for the first time this year, and they're going to try onions in the fall, but they want to know, how do they know when their garlic's ready?
The garlic will be ready when your tops start dying back.
Does it have anything to do with blooming?
No, not really. Now the blooming part, the only thing with the blooming part is I let mine bloom because I think it looks pretty. Marycarl likes it.
Is she going to press any of that, by the way?
She's so excited about the garlic blooms. But a lot of people will cut their blooms back to make their garlic bigger. But we're growing
okay.
elephant garlic, and we really don't need that much bigger garlic
So
because it's already huge.
The energy starts going to the flower when it flowers.
Yeah, it'll start going to the flower when it flowers. And
So
when
if
it
you cut
does,
that off and you want a bigger head, then it would start going towards the garlic again, right?
correct, to start
Okay.
going towards the garlic bulb.
I
When
think it's pretty too.
it is pretty. When it does bloom, it's getting close. You're getting really, really close. We'll
That's
have
an
a video.
indication then.
Yeah, it's indication. We'll have our garlic harvest coming up pretty soon, and what we do and all that kind of good stuff too, and what to look for. I've been doing a lot on TikTok, really, and Instagram. A lot of gardening stuff on there. So if you haven't seen that, check it out. There's a lot of tips and hacks and what we're doing here on a daily basis, and
I'll check that out.
check that out. But garlic, when it starts dying back, you'll see it. It'll start turning yellow and it'll start folding over. That's when it's ready to just harvest.
Okay. Well, that gives you a good idea then.
Yep.
Somebody wants to know, can we grow watermelons here?
We can grow watermelons, and we will grow watermelons at the new farm. I do not have space to grow watermelons here. They just take up so much room. And as a matter of fact, we grew watermelons one year about 2-3 years ago, maybe longer than that. But yeah, we can.
Marycarl was so excited.
We can grow watermelons here. We grew cantaloupe last year, but it was a small variety. I cannot think the name of it off the top of my head, but I grew it on a trellis. But yes, we can grow melons here with easily, very
You'll
very
see
easily.
People in our area that have truckloads of watermelons.
Truckloads.
So watermelon's a real prominent crop around here. It is something that you can grow well.
Yes.
But like he said, we're just limited to space.
Limited to space in my garden. But
that's kind of making do with what we have had.
That's right.
We need tomatoes more than we need watermelon. So
yeah, it's stuff that we would eat and can preserve. Watermelon's kind of hard to preserve, even though you have freeze-dried some in the last few weeks.
Good.
It was very good. It looked very weird once you freeze-dried it, but it tastes just like watermelon.
It did, but it wasn't a very good watermelon to begin with.
Right.
So my expectations weren't wonderful, but it did turn out freeze-dried better than the product was.
Yeah, I agree. I've noticed when we freeze dry stuff, the flavor is more concentrated.
Yes, and I guess that's what I'm trying to say is, even though I didn't particularly care for the watermelon that we purchased, we made do with it and we freeze dried it. And
speaking of freeze dried, this
these don't
may be my favorite.
They are not vibrant in color, but they are very vibrant in flavor.
If you watched the vlog, it may have been the vlog before last, somewhere in last week, we found a peach stand on side the road because where we're at is peach country. And they had an honor system and baskets of peaches, and we bought 4 baskets. And you made a huge cobbler with, I don't know how many peaches you used in that cobbler.
It called for 4 cups, and I will tell you that these peaches were called Early Mays, I believe.
I think you're right.
They did not have a whole lot of meat on them, but the flavor was phenomenal.
The best tasting peach I've ever had.
I mean, I can do without a peach, but I'm going to tell y'all, that peach, that flavor of that peach, I don't guess I've ever had what they call an Early May.
I don't think I've ever had them either. The most popular one here is probably Clear Seed.
Clear Seed. They're around July, and they are a huge peach.
Huge peach.
But the flavor's not there.
Nothing like these. So we had a bunch extra.
Well, I tell you what we did. We stopped by on the way, and we bought 2 baskets.
Yes.
And we put them in the car, and Marycarl and Jason started cutting them up while we were driving, and they were just on and on about how good the flavor was. And I was like, give me a bite.
So good.
So they gave me a bite. And on the way home, we stopped and we got 2 more baskets because the flavor was so good. And I said, we won't have an opportunity to get this kind again until next May.
That's right.
So we did buy 4 baskets and made that huge peach cobbler, which called for 4 cups.
It was a big one, too.
And then we freeze-dried. It was the whole freeze-dryer was full.
It was full. You and your mom cut them up.
Those were the juiciest peaches, and it was not easy for us to cut them up because it was just, and I thought to myself when I put them in there, these things aren't going to turn out. It's just liquid.
Yeah.
But y'all look, they
turned out.
I mean, it's almost like it took the whole fruit and
it's crazy.
And the flavor's wonderful.
It is. These are my favorite thing we freeze-dried to date. And I will say this about the Harvest Right freeze dryer. I don't know what it has in it and how it knows, but it's got some type of sensor in that thing.
That knows how much water it's got.
That knows how much water content's left. These peaches were slap full of water.
Literally.
It took 46 hours for these to freeze dry.
It did, but like I said, I had my doubts when I put them in there that they were even going to turn out because it was just pure liquid. And when we got them out, the liquid wasn't there.
It wasn't there.
It was in the peaches. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, just a pungent flavor, wouldn't you say? Mm-hmm. It just takes your taste buds to a new level.
They're so strong and peachy. And like I said, I've noticed that when we freeze dry stuff, the flavor is just so concentrated.
It is.
They're so good. And you know what? You can make a peach cobbler out of these with no problem. You could. You could put
good.
these in a bowl of water and make a peach cobbler. No problem at all.
Well,
they're so good. I can't tell you how many I've eaten. They're so good.
Well, they got that in the end of them. I don't know what you call it, but
they do. They're strong. It is a very, very strong flavor.
It is.
I don't know because there's no water in it. I guess only I can figure there's no water in it to dilute it. So that flavor is super strong. I even noticed that with the strawberries too.
That's good.
It's so good.
It's really good. So I guess we'll continue to purchase different varieties of peaches as they become available and continue to freeze dry them because we've enjoyed them.
We have enjoyed them. We certainly have enjoyed them. Speaking of watermelons, I will say this about watermelons. My favorite one are the Moon and Stars watermelon, which is an heirloom variety.
Have I had that?
I didn't grow it.
Oh.
I had some seeds, and I went to grow it, and I just didn't have enough room, so I gave my buddy Kendall some seeds. He grew them and gave me some, and
that was last year.
That was last year. That watermelon was delicious, and I know there's hundreds of varieties of watermelons out there. So, the newest one Hoss had was a yellow one. If I'd have known we're talking about watermelons, I would have got that seed packet out because I have it, but I can't think of the name of it. But that one's supposed to be awesome too.
Well, I bet you one thing. I bet you next year we're going to have some watermelons.
We're going to have some watermelons. We're going to have plenty of room.
We might be in our pickup truck out by the side of the road with a sign.
That's right.
Or honor system.
Our honor system. Oh, that's
tractor
right.
bucket. I could put them in the tractor bucket and put them out by the road.
You know, I've told you that what I would love to do is there's two things. Number one is I would like to build a stand at our place outside the fence, honor system where people can drive up and whatever we have going.
That's
whatever.
Right.
If it's fruit,
have
vegetables,
leftover that we don't have room for in the freeze dryer.
Yes. Whatever we have, we can put it out there. And I want an old-timey truck. And I've told you this, I see you grinning. Yeah. I want an old truck. I don't know what year I want. I have no clue. It could be a 60, a 70, a 50 model. I really have no preference whatsoever, honestly. And that would be our produce truck or our farm truck that...
Well, we might have to pull it with the tractor because we said when we sold our last Jeep, which was a 1984 Jeep CJ7, that we would not have anything else that required time for us to have to work on it.
But I was working a full-time job then.
You were? But you're working a full-time job times two now. I'm keeping you busy.
I would like to have an old-timey truck for, I don't know. I tell you what, my
friend Katie, who's Piper's mama.
Yes. So cool.
Marycarl and I took a road trip with Piper, her son Tristan, with Katie, her son Tristan, and her daughter Piper, who is Marycarl's little redheaded friend that lives down the road. Who
y'all seen in the videos?
They're just peas in a pod. We took a road trip with her to Columbus, Georgia, to a place called Scumbugs.
Yes,
and he is a VW fanatic. And she purchased I cannot remember what year it is. 73? 73 maybe?
I can't remember.
Volkswagen bus.
Well, orange.
So she was kind of leery about driving it back. Not that it didn't go because it went just fine. But Columbus, Georgia is a good 3-hour drive from here.
It's a long ways.
And driving in a bus 3 hours would be like 6 hours.
That's right.
So... being the women that we are.
That's right.
With Tristan now. He's a 13-year-old. I think he just turned 14. 14-year-old young man. Uh-huh. We went and we rented a U-Haul car hauler.
Yeah.
In Columbus, so we wouldn't have to tow it from Selma, Alabama to
we're
Columbus.
Thinking.
We rented it in Columbus. We loaded that bus up, and she and I and Tristan and the girls hauled that bus back to Selma.
And it's super cool. I would love to have one of those too.
And she's one of those people that has dreams like us. She wants
Yes.
to be a flower farmer. She
already is a flower.
Well, she is a flower farmer, but she wants to. She doesn't really have a name for her business.
Right.
It's a in progress kind of thing.
It's in progress kind of thing. And, we're wanting to be flower farmers too, but we'll be in two different locations.
it's
so
not
it
like
wouldn't
we'll
be.
be.
Yeah, no competition.
We won't be
there.
stepping on
Yeah,
her toes.
That's right.
And, she was in it before us, so it would kind of be a hobby for us, whereas it would be more so a business for her.
Correct.
But that bus is awesome. And it's got a crank top, and you crank that whole top back and it opens up inside of it. It just kind of folds away.
That's so cool.
But it's got seats in the back, and we just had a ball just going over there, picking that bus up and getting it back. Speaking of your old truck.
In my old truck, I'm thinking I could have my old truck and paint it the same color or the same color scheme as the Can-Ham, the camper, that teal and white, and I can pull the truck.
You better
the
paint it
camper with a
orange
truck.
so it can match my tractor, so you can pull it with a tractor.
And we can go to like farmers markets or whatever, and that's just my dream.
Okay. Well,
I'm dreaming.
it's okay to dream.
That's
That's
right.
what makes the world go round. Without dreams, you're nothing.
That's correct.
So, we've had a few questions because on the last podcast, we talked about the house that we would like to build, which is very simple.
That's right. Like an old cabin almost.
We just want simple.
Super simple.
Easy to maintain, flat on the ground, no stairs, just simple, simplistic. That's our way
no
of living.
No stairs, no rails. Don't have to worry about painting anything.
I mean, we stay outside 90% of the time
That's
now,
right.
so we just need a place to sleep and a place to cook,
Correct.
and a place for you and Marycarl to sit down and watch television
And record a podcast.
and record a podcast. How about that? And upload videos, maybe.
Upload videos.
But we mentioned having a perk test done, and some people said, "What in the world is a perk test?" And
What
it's
is a
spelled
perk test?
PERK.
That's correct. And if you're in I don't know where it is in other parts of the country because
these
we're
were
from
in Europe.
Alabama.
These people were in Europe, and some of them were in Australia.
Okay.
And it may be that city goers, city slickers, they may not know what a septic tank is.
May not know.
Well, I mean,
here,
you know what a septic tank is, but maybe not know what a perk
right.
test is.
Well, here in rural Alabama, we're not on any type of septic system. No, like a city water or anything like that. So we
are on a septic system. We're not
on a septic system.
County.
We're not on any type of, you know what I mean? Like if you lived in the city, when you flush a toilet, it goes into the city waterways, wherever, we're through the cleanery and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
In rural Alabama, we do not have that, here. So there's a septic tank that is buried on your property.
Believe me, this was new to us new to me in 2004. Right. I always flushed my toilet and it went into the city.
That's right. So when you flush your toilet, it goes into the septic tank, and then the tank fills up, and you got these field lines that run throughout deep under the ground. And by the time it gets there, it's compost.
Well, your solids go in this tank. And it's ours is concrete.
Yeah, ours is concrete.
I think some of them now are made differently, but
maybe so.
We're going to find out
I guess
about all
we'll
this
find
soon.
out.
But ours is made out of concrete, and it basically looks like a vault.
It does.
That a person is buried in upon
Very
death.
similar.
I had never seen one. All I knew is I had to have one when we moved out here.
Correct.
And so I contacted a fella, and he actually delivered it, and it was like a vault truck that unloaded it.
That's right.
We had a big hole dug by our plumber, and they dropped it down in the ground.
That's
and
right.
they ran 4-inch PVC, I believe it was, from our house
to it. And
then out the back side of it, the drain line starts.
It's called field lines, and the field lines are like this.
It's like half moon, and it's corrugated, and
it goes so many feet. I mean, it's just hundreds of feet of it.
And it goes lower and lower and lower, and so that way it goes down in the ground, and it doesn't come back up.
And it drains into the ground, and it is inspected and all that good stuff. And this is what you do in rural areas. Well, what a perk test is, and this is how they determine how long of field lines you need and all this good stuff.
And if you can have a septic tank in this area.
Or does it need to be above the ground?
Right.
And it has to have this pump and all this. You don't want that if you can avoid it because it's costly. It costs you more money. If you can just let Mother Nature and gravity do its own thing, then you're good. And that's what the perk test tells you. What happens, and I'm not an engineer, and I'm just going to vaguely tell you what a perk test is that an engineer will come out here and he'll dig a hole in your ground and he'll pour water in it. And he's going to time how long it takes for that water to drain. Then he takes those calculations, and then that'll determine if your property's perked or not, if it's got good drainage, and how long your fill lines minimum need to be, and that kind of thing. And that way it's safe and safe for you, safe for the environment, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, it has to pass that regulation because you don't want sewage coming up into your yard for your safety, nor for Mother Nature's safety.
Right.
So, therefore, our contractor, when he came out and looked at our site, he said the first thing you need to do is to have a perk test done.
Go ahead and line up and get the perk test coming.
Because we have an idea as to where we would like our house to be, and that is a little bit away from where the previous mobile home was. The previous mobile home has a septic tank already there. That's where we're thinking about building my mom's house. However, it is a little, not a long distance. It's just a hop, skip, and a jump.
It's not very far at all.
And it has to perk in another location because just because it perked in one place doesn't mean it's going to perk in another.
Plus, we don't know how long it was when he had it perk tested and all that kind of stuff. Or even,
I mean, we don't have any record of it. So.
No, we don't have any record of it.
I mean, we can use what he has existing for hers, but as for ours being a new build, we will have to have our own system. And here we have two separate systems.
Yes, we have two separate systems.
My mom has her own, even though it's only one person.
Yes.
She has her own and we have our own. And what I was saying earlier is that concrete vault thing, it holds your solids and they eventually fill up.
Yeah.
And you have to have it pumped.
Yes.
And there are specialty companies that come out with a big hose and there's a top on it that screws off and they stick that hose down there and then they pump all the solids away and you start over. Liquids gradually drain into the ground.
And it's got like some bacterial and microbial stuff going on. You can add to the system and you want to keep it active and you don't want to pour a whole bunch of stuff in there that you could kill all that and you could have issues down the road, all that kind of, and the pumping part takes all on a good healthy system. It would take years. We never had ours pumped yet. No. It would just take years for you to ever have it pumped.
Yeah, it lasts. The system is designed very well. Whoever came up with it initially, because I think they've used this same system for quite some time.
For a long time. I'm curious, what does Australia and Europe do for that kind of thing where you're not on any type of...
Yeah, y'all let us know. Where does your poo-poo go?
Where does it go?
Where does it go?
It's got me curious to know. And then they may call it something different besides perk.
Yeah, well, now they know. Now they know. I mean, if you were saying perk test and you're in another country, that would be foreign language. Even though it's our language, it would not be to them. All right. I don't know the answer to this, but we did mention in the last podcast that we are going to the Homestead Conference.
Yes.
And... you sent me a text the other day and told me to start looking for hotels.
Yes.
I can't remember the city.
You know what? I can't remember the city now.
Something Virginia.
It's in Virginia.
It's in Virginia.
And it's not like a well-known city in Virginia, and that's why I cannot think of it. I know it's like half hour, 45 minutes from D.C. If you flew in, that's probably where you would fly in and drive over there. Gosh, I guess I could look it up right now.
Well, you don't have to do that because... no, I need to see that.
Okay, it'll come back. You keep talking.
It's a weird sounding city. I can remember that because I did Google the hotels just to make sure we could find somewhere, and we do need to book that very quickly.
Yeah, we do need to book that. Speaking of that, though, we will be there. It's the Homesteaders of America conference. If you don't know, just Google it. It'll come up. It's a 2-day event. I was a speaker last year. I would have been a speaker this year, but I didn't at the time. I was still working and didn't think we could make it, so I ended up turning it down. It was with Hoss Tools, and it is in Warren. Front Royal, Virginia.
Front Royal, Virginia,
and it's October 8th and 9th. And just go to the website; it'll come up. You'll see a bunch of people that you probably already know or have heard of that are going to be speakers there.
We're going to be dancing on the stage at 2:00 on the 9th.
That's right. They're going to get us a pole.
Oh, yeah. I'm just kidding. October 8th and 9th, Front Royal,
Front
Virginia.
Royal. I was also approached. The details are not out yet, but there seems to be one, much smaller one, in Pensacola, Florida, coming up around the 1st of November. I'll give you guys details on that. We should make it to it unless, anything happens between now and November, but we're supposed to make it to it, and we will be speaking at that one.
That's right. And Pensacola's not very far from us,
Yes.
so it'll just kind of be a fun trip for us. And
I haven't told you about this one.
oh, goodness.
I just thought about
It's okay. You didn't know what was on this list.
I didn't know it was on the list. My main man, Chad, at Adler Farm, he's thinking about doing a meet and greet in Missouri, a one-day ordeal. And
When would this be?
He hasn't come out with any details yet. He asked me what my opinion was on it, and I thought it was a great idea. And he is working on that. And when details come out about that,
Well, we got to
we'll
go
let
to
you know.
Missouri. That's the
We will.
show me state.
That's right. So we will be.
We will be showing me
should
to
be going
Missouri.
to that one too, and helping Chad out with that as well. So stay tuned for that, and I'll give you guys more details on that kind of stuff because we would love to meet y'all, and I know we got a lot of fans out there that would love to meet us as well.
We get a lot of comments about, have you seen what Chad over at Adler Farm's doing with his pig? And I want to say, man, do you know Chad and Adler Farm is Chad at Adler Farm and Jason and Cog Hill and
That's my buddy.
you would like this. So,
That is my buddy.
we know all about what Chad's doing.
We do.
But thank y'all. We
But
appreciate
thank you.
you.
Yeah, he is a good friend of mine.
He's a good guy too.
Yes,
So
very good guy.
raising good kids.
That's right.
Have you ever bought any Connecticut sausage out of Lower Alabama?
I don't know what would be different between that and the Connecticut sausage we have.
Jason,
here.
that's it. Lower Alabama, Monroe County, Beatrice.
Oh, from
Beatrice.
the Connecticut sausage
Yeah.
people.
They want to know if we ever tried any Connecticut sausage.
Oh gosh.
I laughed when I read it. I thought, do you see my belly?
Yes, we even had several videos. I don't know how many packs of Connecticut sausage we sold across the country.
That's exactly right. That's kind of why I giggled when I read it.
Oh, me.
We love Connecticut
We do
sausage.
love Connecticut sausage.
It's made right here in Alabama.
Yes.
I have relatives that live in Monroeville. On the way from Selma to Monroeville, you go through a little town called Beatrice, and that's where Connecticut sausage is made.
Cool. Oh, yeah, we eat
So,
Connecticut a lot.
We love it.
Let me tell you what I like. I like that Connecticut sausage, and then we take a big, like a Kaiser roll, and then we take, this is what I like now, I like to take that squash relish you make
I knew you were going to say that.
and slap it all over there with some mustard, and
That squash relish is good stuff. I don't know if the
Squash relish is
squash
good.
relish makes the Connecticut or the Connecticut makes the squash
I don't
relish.
know, but they show complement each other.
They are good.
They
are
are
good.
so good. They're like
even,
they're like Starsky and Hutch.
People think of frying Connecticut sausage.
Yeah.
And, cutting it in little links and frying it in a skillet. Well, when I started Weight Watchers, I wanted to do some things that didn't involve frying. So what I would do is put the package of Connecticut sausage, which is like a pound, I guess, in a 8x8 square Pyrex dish.
Yes.
And put just a tad of water in the bottom of it and bake it on 400 degrees. I did it in a convection oven, so I can't tell you the exact amount of time because all ovens vary. But I did check it internally to make sure that it was the, done temperature. But that eliminated me frying it.
That's
and
right.
it's so good, even baked in the
It
oven.
is. And I'll throw it on the grill too.
Oh, it's best on the grill.
It's best on the grill, but
Not always do we have time
That's
to do
right.
that. So sticking it in that Pyrex dish, I add just a little bit of water so it doesn't dry out. And it's
we
good.
love Connecticut sausage.
You're making me want some.
I know it.
And we've already ate dinner. Speaking of dinner,
I'm so full.
Speaking of dinner,
Speaking of
what
dinner,
did we have for dinner?
Well, I'm going to tell you. So the other day, we're in the garden and we harvest our onions. And while we're harvesting our onions, and that video will be coming out this week about the onions.
This is kind of like a sneak peek.
It is like a sneak peek. Marycarl said, "Daddy, let's check the potatoes." So I was like, "Okay, cool. I'm cool with that." So we pulled up a potato plant, the first row, and they were the purple Viking potatoes. They were huge. We had a bunch of them. We brought a basket full. It was 3 plants we pulled up.
They came in the house with that big, humongous Hoss tool basket.
That's right.
By the way, if y'all are getting started planting your garden and you want something to harvest your vegetables
That
with,
basket's
awesome.
There's a certain name for that basket, and for the life of me.
Well, we don't remember anything, so I don't even know why we...
It's got like a cage bottom, and you can spray your water hose in it.
And clean it out.
It's got wooden sides.
They've got all kind of
awesome
stuff. I mean, all kind of gathering baskets.
There's a link down below in the description.
Well, they come in with this basket. I think I was cooking dinner at the time. They come in with this basket, and like I said, it's a big basket.
It is.
They said, this is from 3 plants. 3 potato plants. So they had the little red potatoes in there and some of the blue potatoes.
And the blue potatoes.
And tonight, I didn't have anything on the agenda for dinner. And so I knew I had those potatoes sitting on the counter that we had plans to make blue mashed potatoes.
And they were divine.
Purple. Aren't they called purple? They look blue.
This is a purple.
Okay. Well.
But they were delicious.
And so we had peas and cornbread and
okra in your peas.
And okra in the peas and mashed potatoes.
And that was it. And that's all it took. And I'm full as a tick.
So we were vegans tonight, and the protein paid off because I couldn't.
It was good.
And you know what else we have for later?
Tell them.
Some creme brulee
in
the Instapot.
Ooh.
They are currently in the refrigerator. They do have to chill for about 4 hours after you cook them.
Yes.
So I went ahead and made those. So when TV time comes, I'm not going to have one tonight. I'll have Marycarl's last bite, which she never consumes the whole thing.
And we are going to add this in a video this week.
Yeah, so stay tuned.
Stay tuned for that, for the creme brulee in the Instant Pot, because let me tell y'all, it takes you all of it takes you longer to get the ingredients out than it does to put this thing together.
I tell you, I told Jason when I locked the lid on it and mashed go, he said that took like 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
And you're finished? And I said, yeah, I'm finished. I just got to, put it on 15 minutes. And y'all have to stay tuned because we're not including the recipe in this podcast because you'll have to watch the video.
Watch the video, and I will get that because I have time now. I will put that recipe.
I've already sent you the link
on the website.
But not until you watch the video.
Not until we get it all put together.
And the mashed potatoes, all I did was peeled them.
Yep.
And put a little bit of butter in them, and I used whole milk and some salt, and we mashed them up, and boy, they were good.
Did you put any heavy cream in it?
No.
You didn't put any?
I am on Weight Watchers.
Oh, okay. Sometimes you'll throw that heavy cream in there.
I will, but I'm trying to watch what I do.
I understand, but the purple mashed potatoes were divine, and we've only pulled up 3 plants, so we will be harvesting them probably tomorrow.
I just can't imagine how many potatoes there are going to be in the ground because
it's gonna be a lot.
Well, I guess it was 2 blue plants purple plants that you pulled up, and I had enough potatoes for
it was 1 purple plant and 2 red.
I have enough mashed potatoes to last every meal for this week.
And that's one of my favorite foods.
Yep, it is. And Marycarl loved them.
Loves them.
First, when she looked at them, she was like, because she knew that we had planned on making them, but she didn't know it was for tonight's meal. And she had to go and find Mama's phone take a picture and screenshot it so she could send it to her friend Piper and they could talk about it on their FaceTime.
Purple mashed potatoes.
I wonder what she said when she saw that picture.
I don't know what she said when she saw that picture.
I bet she thought food colors active on Cog Hill Farm.
Mm-hmm.
No food color added.
No food color. And it is straight up purple potatoes.
All right. Back to our questions.
Okay.
Since we got a little off subject.
Mm-hmm.
Do pigs need shelter or mud to cool off? Or does this kind of pig do without? I see other YouTubers getting those metal shelters for pigs, and I wonder if you're going to need to do something like that.
We will get a shelter for the pig. Pigs mainly need shelter for sun more than anything. They're pretty hardy.
Our pigs hardly ever got in a shelter when we had
Hardly ever got in a shelter. Like I said, it's mainly for shade. Our pigs are in the shade anyways when we first had ours. These will have no shade.
They're going to have shade because we're going to make them a shade.
We're going to make them shade, and they will probably have a waller, and they'll take a lot of mud baths, and that's also for sun protection.
That's right. So, as for, do they have to have a shelter? I don't think they have to have a shelter.
They don't, unless they're in the blazing sun.
That's what I was
You
gonna
could even
say.
get away with just doing a shade cloth if you wanted to.
Yeah.
You don't have to build any type of structure or buy any expensive structure. You could stretch out You could drive 4 T-posts in the ground and stretch out a shade cloth.
That's right. I mean, possibilities are endless.
Yes.
We don't plan to go to any great financial strengths to get to
You don't
pick
need
this pigs or shelter, but we will have them a way to get out of the sun and a way that it will be easily for us to move it.
It's got to be movable because that is our plan. We gotta have them on 1.25 acres, and to be able to have several paddocks separated out through there. The Joel Salatin system that's our plan, and that way we can move the shelter from one paddock to the other.
Yes, so we'll have something that's easily for us to move, and something won't take us a half a day to get from point A to point B.
Yes.
So, and I thought about something.
What's that?
I forgot to tell you this. Miss Kathy came by yesterday when we were at the land, and she stopped and she said, "Hey, I've been thinking about something. Have you ever thought about getting a barrel and putting nipples on it for your pig's water?"
Yes.
And I said, "Yeah." I said, "We did that when we had our guinea hogs.
We did.
But we were always so scared to pull their water to let them just drink out of that."
We were.
And so when we got rid of our pigs, I took the barrel to the feed store that we get our feed from, and I gave it to the guy there because he has pigs.
Yes.
Guess what?
What?
That barrel's still sitting there.
Is it really?
So when I go get feed this week, guess what I'm going to say?
You're going to ask for the barrel back.
I'm going to say, "I'm part Indian and I'm an Indian giver, and can I have just part of that barrel back? Because it doesn't look like you're going to use it."
I'm pretty sure they'll give it to you back.
Well, I know they will because it's been sitting there for that whole time, and they
That's
probably
funny.
don't even care that it's gone or whatever. But at least I'll notify them. But I thought we could use that.
We will use that because that's pretty much a 55-gallon drum.
And I told Miss Kathy, I said, "I thank you so much for your thinking about us, because I've been thinking of all the troughs that we've got laying around here that we could use."
Yep.
But that'll be perfect.
That'd be perfect, especially if they start out on it.
Yeah.
Right from the get-go.
Put some maple syrup or something on it to make
Peanut
them.
butter, somebody told me too.
But you know what else she said?
What?
If we have a day when we can't go over there or we
Yes.
go out of town, guess what?
She would come by there?
She said if it's easy for the water to get to, then I'll take care of them.
Well, she's pretty awesome. Then.
She is. And I mentioned in the last podcast that she had cows and horses and that I thought she had somebody there with her, and I didn't know why he didn't help. She's a single lady.
And I'm telling y'all that because I told you that was one reason I thought if she can do cows by herself, then surely me and you could do cows.
Yeah, not to degrade her at all, but
no, not at all.
I'm just so impressed with her
So
knowledge.
impressed.
And she told me yesterday, she said, "I hope I'm not bothering you by stopping by here." And I said, "Look here." I said, "Every time you come by here, I learn something." And that's the truth.
She does. She's got so much valuable information. And she's done told us, I mean, the veterinarian lives like a mile from us.
Not only that, yesterday she informed me of an engineer that lives down the road that can do a perk test if it doesn't work out with the one we have in mind.
Hooked us up with a feed store.
That we can
get. There's just so much information she's given us.
That person at the feed store sells septic tanks.
So it's
and
just
installs
been,
them.
It's been so awesome.
So thank you,
really
Miss Kathy.
Do you know what the place reminds me of? Now that just between her and the other people.
Well, let me say this first
go ahead.
before you tell me, because I think this is what it's going to be like. There's a little restaurant down there, and it's got some of the best barbecue you will ever eat. And it's just a little wood building. And you go in there, and there's not a person in there that's not going to say, "How y'all doing today?
Yes.
We're glad to have y'all in the area." And Andy Griffith plays on the TV.
That's what I was going to say.
Every time we go in there, there's Andy Griffith playing on the TV. And it makes me, the whole area is just like Mayberry.
It is. It's a lot like Mayberry. It really, really is.
So
it's so surreal.
When would that have been set? During the 40s? Or
Probably
the 50s?
50s. I'm thinking 50s.
I think I'm going back to the 50s.
Well, me and Marycarl have been watching a Netflix series called Anne with an E.
From Green Gables.
Which is the Anne from Green Gables storyline. And me and her are just amazed at the way people lived. This is set in 1890s. And, no electricity, the candles, just everything. It's just so cool.
Well,
so cool.
I'm just fascinated by the way that things used to be. And y'all, 1890's not that long ago.
It's really not.
It's not that long ago. And to think what we depend on this day and time
Crazy, isn't it?
versus what it was like in.
So crazy. It's crazy.
And Granddaddy was born in 1922.
Yeah.
He's about to be 100 years old.
Fixing to turn 99.
22 now. That's 100 years ago.
Yeah.
His life was just nothing like the way
Nothing. It's
100 years ago.
I want to say when 2004 or 5, this is my opinion, somewhere around the 2004, 5, 6 mark, it's like it's accelerated.
It has. I mean, it's just amazing to me the things that have changed in that.
I just think of TVs. I mean, TVs never change. I mean, the TVs. When we were growing up, everybody had that console TV. You had that console TV from the day.
That dial with the number on it.
I mean, TVs never changed. There was no hardly any anything better in a TV. The TV was the TV, but now they change monthly. It's crazy. It's crazy.
How has our brain developed that much for things to change on that big of a scale?
It's weird. It's crazy.
This is the kind of things we talk about.
Yeah.
And Marycarl likes to join in.
She will
join in. She's very interested in the way things were back when.
Yeah.
And I'm sure by the time she's our age, it's going to have changed totally.
Oh,
again.
gosh. The way it's accelerated, I can't imagine. I mean,
it's not all roses either, for goodness sakes, folks.
As most of y'all know, I've been in the car business my entire life. I was a service and parts director at a Cadillac GMC dealership for 22 years. And before that, I was at a Ford dealership. And before that, I was in the parts business. And that's all I've ever done. If you'd have told me 10 years ago that 50% of the cars on the road, and this is going to happen in the next 5 years, are going to be electric, I would have thought you were crazy.
Yeah. I mean, just think when you and I remember when the first hybrid car came out.
Yeah.
And it's just that ball has almost like it skipped generations to get to this point.
It's crazy. It's so crazy. It's just mind-blowing.
I just like the way things...
Well, we had talked about it. We were talking
things.
about Anne, what's it called? Anne with the letter E. I think that's the name of the series. It's so awesome. Guys, if you haven't seen it, it's the entire family can watch this show.
I hate I didn't start out watching it with y'all.
It has some ups and downs because it's a roller coaster because Anne is an orphan and she gets picked on a pretty good bit. But as the series goes along, it does kind of get better. But just how the whole family just chips in. And I told you it was so it's just so, I don't know what word I'm looking for.
Mind-boggling.
It is that the lady, all she does all day long is, and there's a home-cooked, homemade breads, homemade everything, 3 times a day, always a pie in the oven, just unbelievable. And then the gentleman, there's a brother and sister, he's out in the fields working the farm, taking care of the cows, taking care of the horses. It just blows my mind how awesome and how
women's rights,
organized they were.
Women's, I don't know if you would call it rights. I mean, that's the way they wanted to live. It wasn't the right to or the right not to.
Yeah.
It was just the way women did things was just the way you think it ought to be done.
We've cooked homemade bread before. I can't imagine cooking bread 2 or 3 times a day.
And
but if you didn't have anything to eat.
That's right.
It's just
mind-boggling
and awesome at the same time. I think it's just.
Well,
I can't imagine what that, and it's all wood burning. I just can't imagine what that kitchen smelled like all the time.
When you sit down and you just think about times and how times have changed, and it just gives you something to think about.
It does.
It's just,
it really
for lack of word, it's just mind-boggling.
It is. It really is. And now, I think about how much that person worked making that bread, and now you can buy a loaf of bread for $1.
That's exactly right. I mean,
it's crazy.
Just technology has done. I just really don't know if it's for the good or for the bad.
I don't know either.
Just don't know.
It's hard to say.
They worked so hard and they were so tired at the end of the day, but there was no lights to tell you when the sun went down is when you were probably in the bed after you read your scripture and, ate your meal. And then the next morning when the sun came up, you were back at work.
You were back at it.
Providing what your job was. You were back at it. Whether you be woman, man, child, whatever.
Don't think what I liked about it is it the closeness. They all work together. It's all family. They seem to all get along. And I'm sure it wasn't like that at every family, but
I bet it was.
But that's just in this one. That's what you're
Fast-paced.
seeing. It's kind of like Little House on the Prairie too. It's just they all work together. They're together all the time. The
and that
family
makes me so sad to think about our fast-paced lives
It's
today.
so fast.
And how everybody is just hustling to get home from work, to get a meal on the table, and to get their kids fed and
Both
washed
parents
and
work.
go to sports, and then don't have enough sleep to function the next day. It's just, life is too short.
It really is.
Do what you love and love what you do, and slow down and make changes to make things happen.
Because when you blink, it's gone.
It's gone. I mean, I feel like I'm not old, and I don't mean to sound old, but I feel like I'm 20 and I'm 45.
That's true.
Or
I
am
feel the same way.
45. 45. Yeah, 45. But I feel like I'm 20. I feel like I just graduated high school, and I didn't.
That's right.
Graduated high school like 25 years ago.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It's gone. I mean, those days are gone.
They're gone. Can't get them back.
Somebody put a post on Facebook the other day. It was May the 21st, and it was the 21st day of the 21st century of the 21st something 21st. And you know what I commented? I was the only person to comment. Everybody liked it. Everybody put a smile. I said, too bad I'm not 21 years old. And I didn't mean that like to not know what I know now.
Right.
I just meant too bad we couldn't go back and start from 21 and do what we love.
That's true. That is true.
Couple of more questions we're going to answer before we go. What type of home will we build for my mom? Will we build both homes at the same time? Okay, so the contractor came out and he met with us, and my mom's house is only like 700 square feet.
It's not very big.
1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, and a den and kitchen combined.
Correct.
It doesn't take a whole lot to build her house.
Right.
Although with the price of lumber the way it is right now, we don't want to do that. He wants to get some figures up for us with the cost that it would cost to build. Stick built is what you call, when it's built with
just
wood.
Just a normal,
versus doing it like we're going to do it.
Post frame.
If we do it like what we're going to do it, we may get him to go ahead and do it.
Right.
But he's going to work. We've got 6 to 8 weeks to work on that. And that's kind of where we are on that. We want to know what he doesn't foresee a whole lot of cost difference.
Yeah, he didn't. He said that since her house is so small that he didn't see
it's not going to take that much
any
lumber.
advantage difference between a pole barn or a post frame house versus your normal stick built house. But he would give us figures and all that kind of stuff.
He wants to put it on paper.
Got there,
yeah,
got to that point. Her house will probably look very similar to ours that we're building, just smaller, just a little old cabin type house
on a slab.
Just
screen-in porch is her only amenity, and other than that, we'll just kind of finish it out ourselves if we go that route.
Our plan is to build ours first and then build hers second.
Yes, and she has a sister that has some apartments that she owns, and so she has a place to go if we need to provide her with a place to stay, and we were to sell our place and have our animals moved, she can stay at that apartment where her sister is until we get hers built.
Right.
If she doesn't want to stay with us, that's not out of the question.
That's right.
We have options.
We have
we're not
several
just gonna,
options.
We're not going to put her outside.
And our house being so small, I would think that it wouldn't take that long to build her house either. And she wants turnkey. We don't know if that's gonna be.
Yeah, she wants sheetrock, and she wants it to look like a regular
But she doesn't
house.
want to burden us and doesn't want us.
No.
She wants to pay
She
somebody.
wants us to get situated.
Yeah.
And she wants to not burden Jason with finishing it because we'll be finishing our own.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
We'll
That's
see
just kind
goes.
of. Have you? I laughed when I read this, and I might not should have laughed.
Mm-hmm.
Have you considered heated concrete floors? They set tubes in the concrete and it's heated by hot water.
This is extremely popular up north. As a matter of fact, from my research, is that this would be their almost.
That would be their first priority.
this will be their heating system. The radiant floors produce so much heat that it heats the entire house that they don't need any other heat, even though I'm sure they do have other heating out there in their house. They probably have two sources. They probably have whatever.
I think there are a lot of radiant heat floors in the north.
Here, I don't see it being an issue here because we really have very, very mild winters. I mean, we probably have, no lie, on average, anywhere from 5 to 10 days at 32 degrees or below. And
we have tile throughout our current house.
Yes.
And that's probably about the same temperature that concrete's going to be.
I would think so.
It doesn't bother us.
It's really not.
It gets so hot here in the summer that the cold floors would be more of a benefit than the heated floors being an asset.
I mean, we really, especially, we're talking about putting a wood-burning stove in there. I mean, we just have super mild winters. I would think that the cost of putting heated floors in there, it would take us a while to recoup that investment.
Plus that, like I said, it just gets so hot here. You want all the cool you can get.
Yeah, you do want to go.
I mean, there's Thanksgiving's when we have shorts on.
It is.
And there's Valentine's when we have shorts on. So our winter is just so mild.
So mild and short.
We don't really have a spring. I can remember back when we were kids, it being a real spring and a real fall. We don't do that anymore. It skips.
Very, very short fall, very, very short spring.
And then you have that winter where you're like, it goes from 100 degrees to 32. But it's short-lived.
Short-lived. Very, very short-lived. Like this year. I mean, I didn't even plant my fall garden to the 1st of November almost.
That's right. So I don't think that's something that we could benefit by.
Yeah,
I know it's hard for y'all to see that when you live up north, and it does get hot in some places in the north, but it's not the same kind of heat.
We're just so humid here. And the dew point, that's the new thing that I've noticed that they're pushing a lot lately is it's not the humidity because there's humid places, but it's the dew point. And our dew point, when it's full-fledged summertime, will be in the 70 to 80% dew point, which is unbearable. That's when it feels like you're breathing in a sauna. It's just like being in a sauna. That's the only way I can explain it. It's like being in a sauna. It's real sticky. It's just that's just how it is here. That's just how it is here. But
not to us, it's not. But
we get used to it.
I can remember going to Disney World for our honeymoon, and that was in the year 2000. We were in Orlando because that's our closest Disney World.
This is the 1st of June, too.
It's the 1st of June, and it wasn't that hot to us. It was hot, but it wasn't much different than Alabama. And there were people there with these squirt bottles with a fan on it.
About to die.
In the lines, and they were physically about to fall out because it was so hot. And Jason and I were just we weren't making fun of them by all means, but we were realizing how adapted we were to the hot versus people that weren't used to that heat.
I agree. And it's like that. I want to say Florida doesn't have it like we have. I'm sure there's certain places of Florida that does. But I'm thinking Mississippi's probably like that, and Louisiana's probably like that. Then you get over into Texas, and they have more of a dry heat in Arizona. But here it's a wet heat, hot, very humid.
It's hot. It's getting that way.
I guess there's some swamps in Florida. I guess not the panhandle and along the coastline, but in the middle of Florida, it's probably
that's where we were, in Orlando.
Yeah, that's true. We're in the middle of Florida. That's why it was like that. And it wasn't, their humidity's probably not near as bad as ours is, I bet.
No, probably not.
Yeah.
You must not have talked to Marycarl about the dew point yet.
Why? Because she don't ask Alexa about the dew point?
You better hush. She's going to be talking to you. Marycarl will ask Alexa just about every morning, what's the outdoor temperature? And the next thing she says is, what's the humidity? And that lets her know just how hot it really is.
Yeah.
So you need to talk to her.
I don't know if she knows anything about the dew point.
Well, y'all need to have this conversation. While you're watching
knows anything.
And with an E.
And with the letter E.
All right. Well, I'm Brooke with an E. And
I'm Jason with an N.
And y'all be good.
We'll catch y'all the next one.